Hi, it's about 2 o'clock in the morning. Can't sleep, which is quite a regular occurrence for me. For many years, I've usually been getting to sleep between about 2 and 4 in the morning, and then I get up early afternoon. There are times when I'm really tired and I might actually get to sleep at 11 or 12 at night. But as I say, most of the time, it's between like 2 and 4 in the morning. And yeah, I want to talk about the difficulties that I have making films as someone with a schizophrenic illness. I've been making films for 35 years now. I got some qualifications in filmmaking many years ago. The last one was in year 2000. I got a HNC in TV production. I've been to university a couple of times since then. The last time I got halfway through a film degree, but I found some work on the theory side. What I put that down to is basically I'd started to relapse into illness because I'd reduced my medication so much till I was on less than a third of the recommended maintenance dose. I really wish I'd have been on the right level of medication when I was at university in between, I think it was 2005 and a year and a half later, 2006. Yeah, I've always regretted that I wasn't well because I would have had a degree by now. As I say, I wasn't being maintained by the right level of medication. I was on a fraction of what I should have been on, and that affected my health and my studying. I've actually made a lot of films, a lot of short films since then. I've made quite a few drama films that I often produce, write, and direct. I've made some documentaries as well. The drama films I've made so far have been up to 10 minutes long. And even though 10 minutes is only a short film, a lot of work goes into a 10-minute drama film, especially when you're doing multiple roles like myself. The difficulty I have has as a schizophrenic filmmaker is that schizophrenia is a disability. It's a cognitive impairment, which means it's hard for me to think with uh, like like really difficult levels of complexity when it comes to filmmaking. A lot of my filmmaking, especially my dramas, they're all quite simple. I don't use loads and loads of fast cuts and flashy editing techniques. My films are quite simple. Sometimes I film like whole long takes with like documentary style. My cameraman will be filming documentary style, and I'll also film some cutaways. I think my films are becoming more complex now, though. But as a schizophrenic, it's difficult to make films. Another thing why it's difficult is because the illness and the side effects of medication can make you quite tired a lot of the time and lacking mental and physical stamina. For example, when I make a 10-minute film, I'll break the film down into 3 or 4 pieces and film each part one at a time over a period of time. Whereas some filmmakers might film the whole thing in a day. But because of my schizophrenia, I can only direct usually between about an hour and 2.5 hours at a time. After that, I'm absolutely shattered, absolutely knackered. I feel really drained with the concentration. Whereas if you're not ill, you've got more mental stamina and you can push through much longer than that. Like professional filmmakers can work 8, 12 hours a day, But usually with me, it's just up to about 2.5 hours. And sometimes when I film stuff, I only direct for an hour. Even though I do direct things in a short space of time, I actually get a lot done though because I storyboard all my film scenes. So on the day, even though I'm only directing for a little while, I get quite a lot done. It's also the same when I sit with my editors when they're editing films for me. I have to do that in small bite-sized pieces as well. When I sit with my editor, I usually sit with them for an hour, hour and a half at a time. After that, my concentration is just all over the place and I'm quite mentally drained. As I say, another thing is that I'm actually quite slow at making films. You know, when I made my first 10-minute film quite a few years ago, I'd made films before that, shorter films, but when I made my first 10-minute film, that took me about 9 months to complete. The last film I made was only another 8-minute drama, and it took about a year and a half from start to finish. Okay, I had a lot of problems with people's availability, and so sometimes people cancelled, and sometimes I couldn't film for long periods of time. But as I say, sometimes when I'm making a film, it always takes me longer than I'd previously imagined that it would be. And to be honest, though, I think sometimes that's the only way I get my films done. If I have to, if it's all quite quick, if I have to start directing something quite quickly, I'm kind of stressed and quite intense. But if a cameraman or an actor says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't do it for another couple of weeks. Something's come up. I've got to do this, or I've got to do some work," then I'll wait another couple of weeks or a few weeks or however long it is. But in that time, by the time I come back to it and actually are able to start directing that scene, because I've had a little longer to think about it, it goes better for me, you know, and I'm not so intense. So I'm kind of waffling on a bit now. But as I say, I wish I didn't have schizophrenia. I wish that I was fit mentally well and physically strong so that I had more stamina. I wish I could cope with more complexity, but it's no point in complaining because I can do things that some people can't do. You know, I used to feel sorry for myself having schizophrenia because I felt like it limited my life, limited my capability. But at the same time, it's not half as bad as having something like dementia. When I saw my mum suffering with dementia for many years before she died, I suddenly thought, having schizophrenia, you've got nothing to complain about. You know, you can do so much. So, yeah, that's just some of the problems that I have as a filmmaker and why it's difficult being schizophrenic because it is a disability, but at the same time I can still make films. I make films that people enjoy. I make films that I enjoy. I'm doing something and I've actually started another project now. I'm taking a leap of faith. I'm actually making a film that's going to probably be at least half an hour. I haven't filmed the first scene yet, but I wrote the script outline that the person it's about has wrote the script. He's nearly completed the script. I've storyboarded some of the first scenes, and I don't know how long it's going to take me, but I'm aiming to try and do it within a year. So I am getting stronger now. The fact that I'm even taking on a film of that length, I started to feel like because I've made a few 10-minute films now around that length, I'm thinking it's quite within my comfort zone to carry on making like short films up to say 10 minutes. But now I want to try something harder by making a 30-minute film. And I don't know whether I'll succeed or how long it's going to take. But I feel like I have suddenly got stronger by taking this leap of faith. I believe I can do it. and so I am growing as a filmmaker. And on a positive, I am getting stronger as a filmmaker because I'm taking on something bigger. You know, God wants you to grow. God, God wants you to keep on challenging yourself to step out of your comfort zone, and that's a good thing.